Hello, third graders, and welcome to our lesson today. We are going to be learning Module 1, Lesson 2. Our objective, or what we want to be able to do by the end of this lesson, is to relate multiplication to the array model. So that array model is going to be very important to today's lesson. So for our fluency practice, we're going to kind of go back over what we learned in Lesson 1. So we're going to talk about repeated addition, just like we did the other day, and we're going to talk about equal groups and the number of objects in each of those equal groups. So for this problem right here, we have 6 blue dots and 1 circle around them. So I want you to pretend that that yellow circle is gone. And I want you to think of how else you could group these 6 blue circles. What if we group those circles like this? If I were to do it that way, how many groups are circled? We have 1, 2, 3 groups. What if I asked you how many are in each group? We have 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. So we have 3 groups with 2 in each group. Now, how would we write this as an addition sentence? Think back to when we learned about repeated addition and think about the word repeated, meaning the number will repeat itself a certain number of times. So if we have 2 in each group, we know we're going to be adding 2. And we know there's 3 groups, so we're going to add 2 3 times. And in order to find my answer, I'm going to skip count by 2s like we practiced the other day. So if I skip count by 2s, I know I start with 2, 4, 6. So I know that 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6. Then next it says write a multiplication sentence for 3 2s equals 6. Well, that's exactly what we did right here, isn't it? There's 3 2s and it equals 6, but we have to write it as a multiplication sentence. So we are going to take 3 times 2 equals 6. So that's our fluency practice for the day, and that was just meant to kind of get you warmed up and remind you of what we learned last time. So today I said we're going to be talking about something called the array model. So we call this type of organized picture an array. So it's just like the circles on the last page, but it's organized a certain way. So take a look at this array down here. So how many rectangles are in the top row? Let's count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the size of one row is 4 rectangles. So each row of 4 can also be called a group of 4. So let's think about how many groups of 4 are in the array. So if we think about that, we can circle them just like we did with the other problem. We have 1 group of 4, 2 groups of 4, and 3 groups of 4. So we have 3 groups of 4. So to write this as an equation, we'll first write the number of groups. So the number of groups, like we just said in our last picture, if we circled all the groups of 4, we would have 3. So the first number would be 3. So next we write the size of the group. How many rectangles are in each group? Well, we did that first by counting each row. And we know that there's 4 in each row. So the next thing we would do, the last thing we do, is skip count to find the total number of rectangles in the array. So if we did that, we knew there is 1, 2, 3, 4 rectangles in each group, and we know that there's 1, 2, 3 groups. So we're going to do our skip counting. We're going to skip count by 4s. So if I skip count by 4, if I need to, I can whisper or think the other numbers until I get to every 4th number. So I have 4, 8, 12. And remember that skip counting is just a quicker way of counting numbers because I could have gone through and counted each rectangle, but skip counting is much easier. So we know that 3 times 4, or 3 groups of 4, equals 12. So in multiplication, the answer, or total, which was 12, is called the product. That is the answer to a multiplication problem. All right, let's look at this next problem. So it says redraw equal groups as arrays. So the drawing shows 3 equal groups of 5. So we're going to redraw the picture as an array with 3 rows of 5. Okay, so if we did that, so 3 rows of 5. So I'm going to do circles. So let's see, let's start with 1 row. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there is 1 row of 5. Okay, and we need 3, so I need to add another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's another row of 5, but I'm not done because I need 3, so I need to add one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I have my 3 rows of 5, and this is my array. So if we had to write a multiplication expression to describe our array, let's think about how we'd do that. So let me redraw my array really quickly. So 1 row of 5, 2 rows of 5, 3 rows of 5. So if I were to do that, I could skip count by the number in each row, which was 5. So I know I have 5 here in this first row. So if I counted by 5s, then I'd have 10, then I'd have 15. So now let's put all those pieces together. So I know that there's 3 rows, or 3 groups, of how many were in each group, or row? 5. And the total number of circles at the bottom when I skip counted was 15. So we found our product. So which is easier to count? Let's look at the picture up here and then our array down here. I would say that the array is easier because it's organized in a neater way and it's easier to skip count than it is with the pictures up here. So just like skip counting is an easier way of counting, drawing out our problems in arrays makes it more organized. So we're going to do a couple of problems together. So the directions say use the arrays below to answer each set of questions. So number 1, A says, how many rows of cars are there? Okay, how many rows? So we have 1, we can say rows or groups. So 1 group or row, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 rows. Now, how many cars are there in each row? Well, I see 1, 2, and they're all equal groups, so each row has 2 cars. So that's number 1. So this is number 6. It's a little bit trickier of a problem. It says Emma collects rocks. She arranges them in 4 rows of 3. Draw Emma's array to show how many rocks she has all together. Then write a multiplication equation to describe the array. All right, so let's break down that problem. We know that Emma collects rocks. Is that important to our problem? No. We know she arranges them in 4 rows of 3. I would say that's pretty important. 4 rows of 3. So it says, draw Emma's array to show how many rocks she has all together. That's a very important word. So we're trying to find how many rocks she has all together. And then we have to write a multiplication equation to describe what we did. So why don't we start by drawing our 4 rows of 3? Okay, so I have 3, so that's 1 row. Let's do another 3, that's 2 rows. Another 3, that's 3 rows. And another row, that's 4. So we have 4 rows of 3. So next we're going to do our skip counting. So for this array, we're going to skip count by 3s. So we would have 3, 6, 9, 12. So now let's think about what our multiplication problem would be. We know we have 4 rows. So we are multiplying 4 times, we know we have 3 in each row. So our problem's going to be 4 times 3, and when we skip counted the 4 rows of 3, we got 12. Oops, 12. So we could say Emma has 12 rocks all together. All right, friends, you did such a great job of listening and following along with me. Make sure you are checking Student View to see what you need to do next.